over and over again. It's a job-killing tax. It's going to hurt Ontario. We're a massive manufacturing province. Give you an idea, we do about $489 billion a year in two-way trade. Worldwide, we do $500 billion, but the $489 billion of two-way trade is with the United States. It's like trying to compete with one hand tied behind your back. And when we compete against states like Ohio or like Michigan, it makes us uncompetitive. And I've said that over and over again. We have a great environmental plan. My minister, Rod Phillips, which is a great minister, came up with a plan that we're going to hit the 30% to the Paris Agreement without a carbon tax. So the goal is to hit the 30%. We all agree on that. I'm all for it. But all of a sudden, we had a little surprise in the room. The goalpost got changed. The goalpost got changed when I said, it doesn't matter how we get there as long as we hit 30%. What I was told by the Prime Minister is, well, no, that's not the case now. After everyone signed on to 30%, some will carry more water than other provinces. That sets uncertainty within our economy, within manufacturing. Just the threat of this carbon tax coming in January on businesses scares manufacturing. You know, I have to find jobs for the GM workers. There was a couple thousand people that lost their jobs at General Motors. My responsibility now is to bring new manufacturing jobs into Oshawa to replace the GM jobs. And we're competing against people south of the border and around the world. How? With one hand tied behind our back. And I just like to know, where's the new goalpost? Where is it now? Is it 35? Naturally, if we hit 30%, I'll give you an idea. We're one of the leading provinces when it comes to the reduction of emissions. We're at 22%. And by the way, with great expense to the backs of businesses and families across our province, to hit 22%. Now, the first government to close down a coal plant was a Conservative, but the Liberals closed down the rest of them. But we have 12 years to make up 8%. We're going to hit that goal. So why should we be punished, Ontario businesses and families, over this? It's just not, it's not right, and it's not fair. We're going to keep our side of the bargain, and I just want the Prime Minister to keep his side of the bargain. But now what's happened, and nothing scares businesses more than uncertainty. I can tell you that. I'll take some questions.
Premier, what exactly did the Prime Minister say to you? Did he say that Ontario needs to reduce its emissions by more to keep Alberta's oil sands open?
Right. Well, he compared us to Calgary, and not word for word, but there was people in the room that some will have to do more than others. Well, when did it change? On the 11th hour? You know, we're a month away before we hit this carbon tax. Like, where do we go from here? Where do we go? We're going to continue on. We're going to hit our target, by the way, of 30%. I'm proud to. And if we can do more, sure, we're going to do more.
But what exactly did the Prime Minister say to you?
He said that some provinces are going to have to reduce it more because other provinces, like Alberta, won't be able to hit it. My question again, when did the rules change? They just changed within the last hour. So it puts a ripple effect to businesses across Ontario. That's going to be staggering. Now, the GM workers that I've been getting hundreds and hundreds of calls on my cell phone and talk to workers and talk to families about replacing jobs. This just makes it even more difficult. You know, there's one thing, we're all in agreement in that room, that we all want to hit 30%, which is fair. I get it. But in saying that, you have to know where you're going. Next question.
What are you going to do about it?
Again, we're going to stay focused. we're going to stay focused on our 30%. We're going to challenge this in court. And as I said in there, and I think it was Premier Moe that said it as well, it's not going to be Doug Ford or Scott Moe or Justin Trudeau that's going to decide this. It's going to be a judge in the Superior Court that's going to decide this. None of us. We could be spinning our wheels in there. But in saying that, when I go across the U.S. or worldwide to attract businesses into Ontario, they're going to take this into consideration. You know, I think, again, we have a great environmental plan, and we're going to meet our targets. Next question. Katie.
How is it changing the goalposts if the Prime Minister is just saying, well, if provinces can do better, okay? Like, is that
No. He is, well, that's definitely changing the goalpost, Katie, because if he's saying 30% one day and all of a sudden, well, some of you now, an hour ago, are going to have to reduce it more to make up for ones that can't, what is that number? Is it 35? Is it 40? What is it? Because again, companies have to know how much burden is going to go on the backs of families. There's going to be a tremendous burden. It's going to affect transportation costs all over the country, not to mention Ontario, shipping goods from point A to point B.
But don't you know exactly, though, what it is going to be imposed? I mean, they've told you what the federal carbon tax is going to be.
Yeah, but
right?
Again, they changed the goalpost. They changed the rules on the 11th hour of the game here. I wish I knew. I wish you'd say, okay, Ontario, you're pegged at 40. Alberta, you only have to do 20. Keep in mind, there's exemptions for companies all across the country. Where's the auto workers exemption? Where's the auto industry?
Premier,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Is it because you're new to the scene? Because Ryan Pallister says this has always been the government's line, so are you maybe just getting caught up?
Well, I'm not getting caught up because Scott Moe understands this file a lot better than myself. Now, let me tell you something. I'm the first to admit I'm not an environmental expert, but I'll tell you what I am an expert at, because we have a great environmental team. I'll tell you what I'm an expert at. I'm an expert at creating jobs. I came from the private sector. I created jobs in the United States. I created jobs in Canada. I understand what it takes. I understand that over 19 years of being in the U.S., I've hit thousands of manufacturing facilities throughout the U.S. I know what it takes to compete against our American friends down there. And we have to make sure that we're competitive, because that's what companies look at now. We aren't competing against, Joe down the street any longer. We're competing against the world on a world economy, and we have to be competitive. We will be competitive. We have another problem that we discussed in there, internal provincial trade. It's easier to trade south of the border than it is province by province. But really what we have to do to correct that is just regulations. We have to all roll up our sleeves, because we talked about it in New Brunswick when I was there. We have to roll up our sleeves and look at all these regulations and get rid of these regulations. One of the CEOs of the bank came into my office, one of the big 5 banks, and they said, Doug, this interprovincial trade is a disaster. We could add $50 billion to our GDP across the country if we just knock down the barriers. So myself and Premier Moe, we're going to do that. And all provinces are welcome to join us. But again, we need to find out certainty. That's magical word in the province.
Premier, I have one question. Premier, do you support